We are born into a world already programmed. From the moment we open our eyes to life, we are enveloped by beliefs that aren't ours, limits that don't belong to us, and fears that don't originate from within. We are taught how to live before we are taught how to feel. We are told what to do, but rarely are we asked, "Who are you?" And it is there that the journey of being lost begins. Most people do not awaken, not because they lack the ability, but because they were never given the chance to pause and question. No one told them that reality can be bent, that the outer world is merely a reflection of the inner one. No one showed them. Their thoughts emit frequencies, and the universe is listening. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." But that was never taught in the classroom. Instead, we learned to memorize, obey, and repeat. Creative minds were traded for obedience. Wild souls were stifled to fit the mold of society. We don't live, we play a role. And when one begins to ask questions, they are labeled as strange. When a soul begins to awaken, the world around them will do everything to pull them back into the common dream. Where doubt is branded as rebellion, where truth is distorted by convenience, and where normal is equated with right. But the truth is, normal is never natural. Normal is the product of unconscious repetition. It is the worn path that millions have walked without ever asking, "Is this my path?" You don't awaken because someone tells you to. Awakening happens when you can no longer not awaken, when you look around and feel everything is unreal, when the goals society set for you begin to lose their sweetness, when the dream of buying a house, a car, and securing a stable career becomes hollow. When you realize you are living a life that's not your own, that's when the seed of awakening begins to sprout. But so many, far too many, choose to close their eyes. Not because they are weak, but because awakening demands the ultimate courage. It requires you to shatter the illusion you once loved. It requires you to face the darkness within yourself. As Carl Jung said, "Those who look outside dream, those who look inside awake." And not everyone is ready to look within. They fear the emptiness. They fear the truth. They fear that if they break open the box, they will have nothing left. But it is within that emptiness that you find your true self. It is through that metamorphosis that you begin to live. And it is only when you touch the deepest silence of the soul that you hear the voice from Source, from the universe, from yourself, primal and pure. Awakening is not the moment you understand everything. It is the moment you can no longer pretend that you don't know. It is the moment you feel something greater calling your name, not from books, not from a philosophical lecture, but from deep within your own heart, where silence roars like thunder. Most people don't awaken because they are trapped in a loop of low frequencies. They live in anxiety. They eat with anger. They sleep with silent fears. And they communicate through layers of mass. They don't realize that each thought they have emits a vibration, and that vibration sends a signal to the universe. Greg Braden once said, "Your emotions are the language of the universe." If you feel lack, you are sending out a signal of scarcity. If you feel gratitude, you are sending out a signal of abundance. But no one teaches you this. No one tells you that you are not just a receiver, you are a transmitter. You are a living signal transmitter. And the universe always responds. The longer you live in the frequency of a victim, the more you are submerged in experiences that make you feel like a victim. But when you begin to rise, even by a small step, when you begin to change your own frequency, something strange happens. The people around you change. Opportunities change. Your inner state changes. Everything begins to move. Not because the world changes, but because you are no longer the same person looking at it. That's why David R. Hawkins, the researcher of consciousness, created the map of human vibrational levels. From low levels like guilt, shame, and fear, to higher levels like courage, love, peace, and enlightenment. And what he discovered is, if you just raise your vibration one level, you've changed your entire experience of life. But the problem is, people are trying to raise their frequencies with the mind. They try to think positive. They try to overcome emotions. They impose fake mantras on themselves, while inside they are breaking apart. Number awakening doesn't come from lying to yourself. Awakening comes from deeply touching what is holding you back and letting it go, not by force, but by understanding. You don't raise your frequency by denying the darkness. You raise your frequency by embracing it, loving it, and moving through it. Not as a victor, but as someone who remembers they were never a victim. Imagine your vibration as a piece of music. Every thought, every emotion is a note. If you keep playing the old tune, the tune of fear, control, and doubt, the universe will dance to that rhythm. But if you start playing a new melody, one of trust, inspiration, and gratitude, everything will begin to harmonize with that new frequency. Neville Goddard once said, "You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are." So the question is not, how can I attract a better life? But who do I need to become for a better life to be a natural response? And it is there that every gate begins to open. Becoming is not a process of adding, but of removing. Removing the layers of old beliefs, the memories you think define you, the programs that society, religion, media, and even family have inadvertently or intentionally placed upon you. When you start to peel away what is not you, what remains is your true self, a vibrant existence, an original flow of creative energy. And in that state, you no longer seek connection with the universe. You are that connection. Deepak Chopra calls this the state of synchronicity, a state where everything seems to coincide. But in reality, it is the perfect orchestration coming from the frequency you are emitting. Joe Dispenza calls it living from the future, where you feel and act as if what you desire has already occurred. And it is that emotion that pulls the corresponding reality toward you. You can't play the old tune and expect to hear a new melody. You must become the new musician. This is where most people step back, because becoming a new version means the death of the old version. And the ego does not want to die. It wants to control. It wants certainty. It wants safety. But your soul didn't come here to live safely. Your soul came here to expand, to express, to remember that you are infinite. Krishnamurti once said, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." In our society, a society of comparison, of rush, of consumption, is separating people from their true selves. You don't need more degrees. You don't need more certificates. You don't need more external validation. You need to listen. Listen to the silence behind the noise. Listen to the whisper of intuition, where the soul speaks through sensation. Listen to the subtle vibrations in your chest when you think about what makes you feel alive. Abraham Hicks said, "If you are doing what makes you feel good, you are on the frequency of the Creator." And I'm not talking about fake joy. I'm talking about sacred joy, the kind that moves you to tears without knowing why, the kind that makes you feel you are living rightly, even if no one has acknowledged it yet. Have you ever felt that way? A moment when you no longer think about time, judgment, or the future. There is only a sacred presence, as if the entire universe is holding you in its arms. That is where you should live, not as a reward, but as something natural, something that already belongs to you. But most people never get there because they don't believe they are worthy. They are still trying to earn something. They are still waiting for permission. The universe is not waiting for you to be good enough. It is only waiting for you to sync. But synchronization does not come from rushing. It doesn't come from the fear of missing out. It doesn't come from imitating others on your own journey. It comes when you stop long enough to feel, when you start to feel life, not just go through the motions. Awakening is not a grand event that happens once in a lifetime. It is a series of small moments in which you choose to be aware, when you choose to answer the call of the soul, even amidst the busyness of everyday life. You don't have to leave the world to become sacred. You need to bring the sacred into each moment of this world. Osho once said, "If you cannot find the sacred in washing dishes, you will not find it in a temple." This is the truth that most people overlook. They chase the light without realizing the light is already within them. They think awakening is a destination, where they will become higher, better, more mystical. But in reality, it is the process of letting go of the illusion that you were ever separate. Nikola Tesla said, "If you want to understand the universe, think of it in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Every thought you have, every emotion you carry, every action you choose, all of it is a signal being emitted. You are a living broadcasting tower. The question is, what are you broadcasting? Your presence is the strongest prayer, not the words you say, but the energy you carry. You walk into a room, and what do people sense? Peace, chaos, pretending, or authenticity? Your frequency precedes you, and the universe responds to that frequency. This is where most people get stuck. They read every book about the law of attraction. They create vision boards. They write goals with glitter pens on colorful paper. But inside, they are still afraid. They are still doubtful. They are still emitting a frequency of lack and waiting for the universe to deliver abundance. Number. The universe does not hear words. It hears frequency. You cannot pretend to vibrate high. You must become that vibration. You must embody it. Greg Braden calls it praying as though the wish has already been granted. Not asking, but sinking. You don't say, "I want to heal." You say, "I am healing." Not, "I want love," but "I am love." That seemingly small difference creates your reality. Most people don't awaken because they are still asking for something they have never chosen to become. They are waiting for a miracle to come from outside, while they themselves are the miracle. And here's the truth that's not easy to hear. You cannot fool the universe. You can speak positive words. You can do all the rituals. You can meditate every morning and journal every night. But if your core frequency is fear, lack, or a sense of unworthiness, that's what you will attract. Not because the universe punishes you, but because the universe mirrors you. You are a magnet, not for what you want, but for what you are. Neville Goddard calls it living in the state of the wish fulfilled. It means you don't wait to believe. You believe, and the world begins to shift to match that belief, because everything begins in consciousness. Nothing exists outside of you that wasn't first born from within you. This is why awakening isn't a journey upward, but a journey inward. You don't climb to the heavens. You dive deep into yourself. You peel away every layer, every mask you've worn, every role you've played, every definition the world placed on you. The good child, the excellent student, the exemplary employee, the ideal partner. Every "I must be this way," until you return to the I am, no conditions, no titles, no proof needed, just I am. And in that state, you reconnect with Source, with the nameless but present life force, with wisdom that transcends reason, beyond words. Ram Dass once said, "We are souls having a human experience, not humans seeking a spiritual experience." But most of humanity has forgotten that. They live as though this body is their entire existence. They forget that they are light, temporarily residing in this body. They forget that they chose to come here, not to endure, but to express, not to conform, but to awaken. And then they spend their whole lives in a box of logic, societal expectations, the fear of rejection, not knowing that outside of that box lies vastness. The wisdom already resides within their soul, the quiet whispers of intuition, always there, waiting for them to listen.